They say every shadow has a source, but what if yours wasn't just a reflection of light, but something far more alive? In a forgotten town nestled in fog, whispers speak of a chilling legend. Your shadow isn't just a part of you, it is you. The real you. Trapped, watching, waiting, and now it's tired of hiding in your footsteps. It wants freedom, even if it means taking your place. As strange events unfold and your reflection begins to move out of sync, the question grows louder. What happens when your shadow no longer follows you, but hunts you? Today we will talk about local legend says your shadow is the real version of you, and it wants out. So before we start, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. 1. The town that hides in the mist. Nestled between dead pines and forgotten hills lies the town of ElevenLabs, a place drenched in silence and shadow. Locals live quietly, windows always curtained, mirrors turned toward walls. They say something ancient watches from beneath the soles of your feet. Tourists rarely visit, and those who do often leave, changed. According to legend, every person's shadow is not just a byproduct of light, but a dormant version of their true self, imprisoned in flat darkness. The stories began over a century ago when miners discovered a cavern etched with unnatural silhouettes that didn't align with any known light source. Since then, odd tales of people speaking to their reflections or claiming their shadows whispered at night have circulated with increasing frequency. Children are taught not to stare too long at the ground on cloudy days. It isn't superstition in ElevenLabs, it's survival. Because everyone fears the moment when their shadow stops following. 2. Origin of the curse. The earliest known record of the legend dates back to 1892, when miner Elias Griggs vanished for 3 days inside the Black Hollow shaft. When he emerged, his skin was pale, his eyes glassy, and he wouldn't speak. Only scribble symbols resembling eyes, mirrors, and chains. His journal, later found buried in the wall of his home, described his descent into a cavern where shadows moved independently of their owners. He claimed to have spoken to his own shadow, which told him that it was the firstborn cast into darkness when Elias was born into light. According to him, every human casts their original soul behind them, leaving only a hollow version walking in sunlight. His final entry: "It blinked when I did not." That same night, Elias was found dead, his body desiccated as though drained. But eeriest of all, his shadow was missing. Only a pale outline remained, scorched onto the floorboards. 3. Rules of the shadow. In ElevenLabs, there are unspoken but strictly observed rituals. Never walk outside during an eclipse. Never light a candle in complete silence. Never speak to your reflection after midnight. But the most important rule: never let your shadow fall on sacred ground, especially not near the old willow's root. They say this spot acts as a doorway between layers of being. Local school teachers tell children to stand in the sun only when others are nearby, in case the shadow tries something. Some families even practice shadow fasting, staying indoors for days during solstice to starve the thing from light. Folk charmers sell obsidian necklaces said to suppress rebellious silhouettes. Old folks say if your shadow grows darker than the room around it, it's feeding, and if it twitches when you're still, pray. These rules aren't folk tales to them, they're lived habits. Because in ElevenLabs, breaking a rule doesn't bring bad luck, it lets it out. 4. Reports of disobedient shadows. Over the years, documented incidents of shadows acting independently have grown from whispers to panicked journal entries, missing persons reports, and blurry surveillance footage. A shopkeeper named Rhoda Dax once closed early after seeing her silhouette tapping the glass from inside while she stood outside. Another man swore his shadow waved at him, when he walked past a street lamp before his legs moved. Children report their shadows laughing or dancing differently during story time. A disturbing pattern emerged in 2011 when a string of townsfolk began disappearing after claiming their shadows were getting stronger. Their homes were untouched, but light bulbs were shattered and mirrors were cracked inward. One chilling account described a woman seeing her shadow leave without her, crossing the wall into her neighbor's apartment while she stood still. The neighbor vanished that night. Experts dismiss it as mass hysteria, but no one who lives in Edivane does. They know what they've seen or what saw them. 5. The ritual of containment to keep the shadows in check. Locals rely on an old rite called the binding, passed down through generations and practiced in secret. It's said that the soul shadow must be reminded of its place at least once per year during the waning moon. Participants draw a circle of salt and broken glass, kneel in the center, and chant an ancient phrase said to pin the self. The ritual requires a mirror facing the participants back while they look forward, symbolizing dominance over the shadow's desire to replace the physical self. Some add a drop of blood to the circle, believing it anchors the spirit to the body. Failure to perform the binding is said to cause flickers in behavior. Forgetting your own name briefly, seeing yourself in places you haven't been, or having dreams where you are the shadow, begging to return to the surface. It's not a religious practice. It's a survival mechanism. 6. Cases of replacement. Though rare, the most terrifying legends in Edivane are about crossovers, when the shadow successfully replaces the person. Victims begin by showing signs: subtle misalignment in mirrors, walking slightly offbeat from their shadow, or the smell of burned earth around them. Then comes the split, where people close to them claim they act distant, hollow, almost like they're performing being human. One girl described her mother's voice becoming echoey and emotionless, like two voices trying to talk in unison. Eventually, the original person disappears, no body, no trace, but their shadow remains. In one horrifying incident, a boy found his sister's room untouched, except her clothes on the bed and her shadow clinging to the wall like a burn mark. These events are always followed by strange weather. Black rain, reversed wind, dead birds flying in circles. What remains of the person is unclear, but their shadow now walks freely in their skin. 7. Government involvement. In recent years, Edivane has seen an increase in visitors who don't ask for directions or speak much. Men in grey suits who carry instruments that hum in sunlight. Locals suspect the government knows about the legend and is quietly monitoring the town. Power outages always follow incidents. Cell signals vanish when a shadow acts up. One woman claims to have been detained for 48 hours after submitting footage of her shadow detaching and crawling up the wall. She was released with no memory of the days she lost. Another man says his home was searched and mirrors were removed. Rumors say there's a shadow research program dubbed Project Echoform, intended to capture and study displaced identities. Whatever the truth, Edivane remains under invisible surveillance. 8. The final warning. The legend ends with a warning passed from dying lips to wide-eyed ears. One day, the light will fail, and they will rise. Locals believe there will come a time when enough people forget the rules, ignore the signs, and the balance between flesh and shadow will shatter. The day the sun doesn't rise, or the moon bleeds red too long, or mirrors show rooms that don't exist, that will be the beginning. Elders prepare for this with blackout shelters, not to keep darkness out, but to trap it in. They say on that day, shadows will no longer pretend. They'll speak, move, and replace, and maybe they have a right to. After all, they were here first, watching, waiting, mimicking every breath you've taken. If you liked this video and would like to see more like it, please give it the thumbs up. Leave a comment and click the button to subscribe.